So, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon if you're communicating today from Europe. Good morning if you're coming from America in general, and really good night if you're coming in from Asia. Thanks for coming today to the Arduino LiveCast number 6. And you're gonna miss today. You will see me like looking around different places. As I said, I set that studio at my own place, at my living room. So today there might be everything. There might be a cat eating that planting behind me. You will see the sun going down. You know, the sun in Sweden is completely crazy. So you see like suddenly it's night, yes, all of a sudden. But I think we're all set for today's program. Let me remind you that today's program is sponsored by the eCraft to Learn European Research Project. This European Research Project is aimed at helping teachers creating a community of educators that will use digital fabrication tools and other kind of digital tools in the education program. Arduino is one of those tools, and we participate with other partners in this project. And so the goal for today's show is to talk about Arduino's IDE. And so we're going to be working with both our or the Arduino online IDE and the classic Java IDE. And I will try to answer some of the basic questions that always pop up that people have when trying to work with this software. As you know, we have the chat. You can see it up here in the video streaming. So I will read it aloud. It's discord.gg/P, lowercase x, 7, capital G, F, and 5. This is our open chat that is open 24/7. So people communicate through it, throughout the week. This week, we're really happy that actually our friend, Limor Fred, the founder of Adafruit, joined our chat. So every now and then you might see her coming around, and you might be able to asking her a question or two. So as I said, today we're going to talk about the Arduino IDE, and I got someone in my team to prepare a slideshow that you can see here. As you see, this show is sponsored by the eCraft to Learn European Research Project. And let's just get to see basically what we're going to be talking about. This is the second livecast having to do with Arduino within the eCraft to Learn series. So as you know, we do have livecasts on a weekly basis, but only some of them are from the eCraft to Learn project. And the eCraft to Learn livecasts are about basic things. Well, it will increase in complexity throughout the year, and it's going to run until December. And I think every third or every fourth week, there's going to be one of these basics livecasts. And they're mainly oriented to teachers, but they're open for anybody. So let's take a look at what we prepared here today. So what do you need to get started if you want to follow today's livecast, or if you look at it later in your computer and you want to do the same things we're going to be doing here today? Well, you will need either the Arduino Create web editor. You will definitely need an Arduino board, and I have some Arduino boards on my desk around here. Or you will need the Arduino IDE. Well, actually, we'll need both, and you might need some components to test things. Let me just this way you can see the full slide, because I just realized you were not getting the full slide. So let's start by talking about the Create platform. And the Create platform is a latest Arduino effort in making a state-of-the-art IDE for anybody that will run in a browser. And my partner Massimo and a team at the Arduino Torino office have been working really hard over the last years in building a fantastic platform that you can use for not just coding, but also to document your own projects and so on. So this platform tries to bring together all of the small things that you do when you're a maker. And when you start it, it looks like this. In the slide here, we will open it up live later on. It basically has the editor. It has information about getting started with different boards. It has a link to the Arduino Project Hub, links to the forum, and so on. In the future, when you connect to the Arduino website, you will end up having this interface. It's meant to be for registered users, but of course, registering is for free and is open to anybody. So the idea is that you will have a single entry point for all of your Arduino services. And we want to focus mostly in the Arduino web editor, which is, as I said, the latest Arduino editor that we have. And we want to make this clear. It's like subscribing and using this one is for free. As you see at this point, Amazon is or AWS is sponsoring part of the use of this IDE. And the idea behind it is that it should be very easy for you to get started programming Arduino in the classic way. And as we go, we will add other features to it. And the idea is that you don't need to download lots of libraries. Libraries are already in the cloud. You need to download like a lot of software. We'll just make some tests today just to prove this point. But also, you still need to install something. You need to install a small package with drivers that will also help your system to communicate between the USB port and the browser. And once you register on Create, you have to go to create.arduino.cc. If you are an Arduino user, you just need to log in with your Arduino username. If you're not an Arduino user, then you need to create an account. And the next thing you will get is a chance to download the plugin. And this plugin will allow you to start working with the IDE. So somebody is asking whether there's an official IDE for Android. Well, this might work in Android. I cannot unveil all of the secrets right now. This works perfectly on Windows, Linux, Macintosh, and Chromebooks. Though for Chromebooks, you have to register and get a paid license. So the editor looks like this. This is the editor's anatomy, as the slide says here. So instead of having a traditional application look and feel, where you have a vertical kind of landscape, where you have the menu, the toolbars, and the editor window, and then a console, this is more of a horizontal kind of landscape, where you have in the vertical bar first, you have the basic menu with access to the sketchbook, the examples, libraries, serial monitor, and so on. You have a second kind of tab, a second area, where you can see the list of the sketches or programs you have created, or where, for example, the serial monitor will unfold and you will be able to use it. And a final tab or area where you have the actual text editor that you could maximize if you need to work in full window, and the console. So this is basically a revamp of the user interface, but it's everything made from scratch in HTML5. So it will run in browsers, it will run in tablets, everything. Remember, even though it runs in a tablet, at this point it still needs a client that will take the software once it's compiled in the cloud and send it through some sort of cable to the Arduino board. So the boards will be detected up here in this area. And the interesting thing, and this is a big difference with the classic Arduino IDE, and I'm going to prove this in an empirical way later, is that once you plug the board, it shows up here by itself, and it just works. And since I like taking risks, I have to say this computer I'm using for this is new, so it's not even 1 week old, and I just installed the Create IDE before I left my office, and I haven't had a chance to try to upload a single program. So everything I'm going to be doing today is going to be completely new, and it's as if you guys were installing it in your computer. I never installed it in this computer, so I have no idea whether it's going to work or not. So I keep my fingers crossed. I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So before we jump into the desktop IDE, what I'm going to do is to just summarize what we just said. So let me just do the classic. I open the top camera. I'm opening my package of pens. And so, oops, let's see if the camera focuses. There you go. No, it's not focusing. No. Okay. So we have two different IDEs. This is the idea. One is working in the cloud under the so-called Create platform. And the other one is the classic. We call it classic, and it's made in Java. And one of the reasons why we need to migrate is because actually Java is being decommissioned for some operating systems. Like it used to come, for example, by default on Mac OS X, and it's not any longer coming in that. So this is even though this works in all of the old computers you might have around, it's still a question about what's the future of Java in the traditional desktop. And therefore, we started to talk about, okay, let's make something that is HTML. And the moment we have something that is HTML, we can add it to the website. We can add it in using it in a lot of different ways. Right now, it's working only on the cloud, but it's plans for this IDE to also work offline. Because as you know, for education, you also have these needs to get something that works offline. So we're going to take a look at the Create IDE in the first place. So I hope you guys are following there in the chat. If you have any questions, as I said, please feel free to ask. I installed the client, and I'm going to just change the view to my desktop. So now you see my computer. You see, even though I'm a Linux user, I had to buy a Windows computer to do the better transmission. And it's a bit challenging for me because I'm really not used to the user interface. But once you install the Arduino Create, down here in the tools, you will get this icon here, you see? And that icon is the Arduino Create launcher. And you can use it to basically click and go to Arduino Create. And this opens Arduino Create. And this is the website for Arduino Create once you're logged in. I am logged in. Yeah, I am logged in. As I said, you just need to have a user account in the Arduino website, which is free of charge for anybody. And you can look through different things here. As I said, this is a kind of like a widget presentation. In the future, there will also be other things here, like once you get like an Arduino education course, it will show up here and so on and so forth. And you could just click on the Arduino web editor, and it will open. And here you have the Arduino web editor, and as you see, I've been playing around with it in the past, and it has a lot of stuff. So I will just make I can make a new folder, and I'm going to call it LiveCast. Okay. And then I open the LiveCast, and I'm going to make a new sketch that it didn't go into my LiveCast folder, I think. And well, it's an empty sketch. As you see, it's an empty sketch. This is a list of different sketches I've been trying out. And I didn't try them out in this computer, as I said, because this computer is brand new. I tried this out in my other computer. But all my sketches are stored in the cloud and are available for me to use in whatever computer I log in. This is really a big difference. Like if you're an educator, for example, you're teaching a class and your students are changing places here and there, you know, the moment they log in into the browser, they get all of the sketches there. They don't need to be moving them around in a USB stick, and it's always cumbersome and complicated to explain to them and so on. So, so I have this here, and I'm going to get an Arduino board. I have some Arduino boards somewhere here. Let me just check my desk. Yeah, I brought them in this old cardboard box, and yeah, I have like an Arduino 101, and I have an Arduino Uno here. So I'm gonna use this Arduino Uno, and I have a USB cable, and okay, this computer is like in USB port, so I will have to unplug my computer mouse. There you go. I unplug my mouse. And as you see up here now, there is no board selected. If I click on it, it opens a drop-down list. So I can say, oh, I have this board or that board, but right now nothing is connected. I never plugged, I have plugged Arduino boards to the computer before, so I know that they're drivers, but I never plugged it to Create. And if everything works fine, the board that I have in my hand here will automatically register inside Create, and it will show up there. Okay, so you go. It's configuring the board, and it says it's a serial USB device on COM3. So I'm putting the board under the top camera so I can show it to you later. And you see, it automatically detected the board. I didn't do anything. I was just playing around, but up here, the board was automatically detected. This is one of the main features that is super valuable if you're working with education, for example. And let me just show you the top view so you can see that my board is down there. You see there's the board. So the LED is right now on. It's a bit hard to see, but the LED is on. And I will just go back to the desktop. And I'm gonna just write the classic Blink example. I could open it, but I just want to write it. So I will just do pin mode, 13, output. You know, it has all of the new nice features from the latest versions of the IDE. Like if you start writing brackets, it ends the brackets for you and things like this. So digital write high, delay 1000, digital write 13 low, delay 1000. So it's the classic Blink example. For those of you that are new to programming with Arduino, this is the easiest example you can do. It selects a pin, configures it as an output, and turns the pin on and off with a cadency of 2 seconds. You can make this bigger if you want it. You can make it smaller, and you can just click on upload. This will upload it to the board. And it's doing the whole compilation, verification, and it's done. And if I now change camera and put the top camera, you will see how the light is blinking. I'll just bring it closer to the camera. There you see. So I just made the classic Blink example very easily with my board on a cloud IDE. So I have to say, this is a tremendous effort by the Arduino development team. I'm really, really happy this is working, and it's really easy to use. I mean, one of the nice things of this is that you could say, okay, I want to share the sketch here. I just made it, I want to share it, and it gives you a link that you can either embed into an explanation for your students, for example, or you could just copy the link and you could share it. So I'm gonna share this link on the chat so that anybody of you could use it. So if you now go to that link, for those of you that are following the chat, if you click on it, what's going to happen is going to open Create. If you're a registered user, it will allow you to copy this to your own sketchbook. Otherwise, you can just at least just watch the sketch. So this is very nice. Oh, I said that how this thing works, but I'm going to show you actually. So if I'm on the browser, I can open a new tab. I paste the link, and when you click on it, it's going to open it up and show the sketch up here. So the things that right now is also, you see, it's going to check that I'm a registered user, and probably it's going to open the same thing I'm opening. I'm looking at the other place, but it was nicely. And that something that is really cool is that I could say, okay, this worked great, but what if I plug a different board? And well, I'll just close this one because it's taking some time, because I guess many of you are checking this out right now. So what if I take my Arduino 101? I took this Arduino 101 from my lab. I have like no idea if it's gonna work, because we had a bit of a mess today because we were cleaning up, and there was a lot of stuff around. So I just unplugged the Arduino Uno, and I'm taking the 101, and it finds a new device. It says here, okay, I found a 101. I'm configuring it. As you see, now the menu says here, okay, the board was connected. So the create plugin in my computer detected the 101. I could check. Okay, now it's ready. It was installing the drivers. It says, okay, it's available on COM4 and it's ready to use. So I just have to wait until everything is ready. As I said, it's the first time I'm using Create in this computer. So everything I'm doing is as if you guys were doing it from scratch. And the question is, here it is. it didn't, they change automatically for me this time because I had a pre-selected board that I unplugged. But here it says Arduino Uno 101 at COM4, so I can take the 101. If you have ever tried to program the 101, you know that if you have the classic IDE, you need to make a 1 GB download of all of the tools that are needed to compile for the 101, because each one of the different Arduino boards need different tools depending on the architecture of the main processor. And this is important because it's very confusing for people. So when you work with a classic IDE, you download only what is needed for the classic boards, which is the Uno, the Nano, the Micro, the Leonardo, the Mega. If you want to use other boards, then you need to add some extra software. It's again for free, it's a download, it takes some minutes, but it's no problem. And the issue here is if you want to use the 101 actually uses a lot more, So 1 second. I time out my editor, but here it is. It selected the board automatically, and I'm just going to upload this to my board, to my 101. So it's compiling on the cloud. I didn't have to make the 1 GB download. All the libraries are there. It's compiling the sketch, and I will upload the sketch to the board. And once it's done, hopefully it will just give me the message that it's done. It typically takes a bit longer to compile for 101 than it takes for other boards. So this is super nice because suddenly you don't need to download and install a lot of stuff. The limitations are basically that you have a computer that can run an okay HTML5 IDE, which is not always the case. And now we're going to talk about the desktop IDE. And why, you might say, why is it relevant to talk about the desktop IDE? Well, the desktop IDE has been with us for over 10 years. So it's a really useful device and or software, sorry. And it's used for all sorts of different projects. There's libraries that go back many years. So sometimes you might be willing to use an old library in an old version of the IDE for a project you made some time ago, and it just happened to work nicely. So, the thing is that this IDE is here to stay, because if you have like a 5 years old computer and you're, for example, running an old Linux version and you have the official Linux IDE download, which is Arduino Uno, you may want to stick to that because it's going to work steady, right? There is a lot of disadvantages in the sense that you need to download libraries by yourself, you need to add new cores by yourself, and all of these different things. At the same time, we are not going to stop supporting this IDE. It's going to stay with us because it works really, really well. So I already have it installed, but if you want to get the classic IDE, you need to go to the Arduino website and download it. So let's just take a look at how this will look like. So you will go to Arduino's website. It's arduino.cc, and you will go to software. The menu loads. Software, downloads. And here in downloads, you can see, well, the first you get is, okay, when you get started with the online editor. And if not, you can download the old editor. Right now we're at the 1.8.5. And I'm calling it old, but it's not the right word. I should call it classic, because it still works perfectly and it's been updated. There's a bunch of people that are continuing developing this thing, and they will continue to develop it for a long time. So the online IDE is still in beta, but the classic IDE is development software, is production software. As you see, you can download it for Windows, for Mac OS X, and for Linux. And if you are in kind of like a safe educational environment where you use Windows computers and you can only install from the official Microsoft Store, for example, you can actually install the Arduino IDE from the official Microsoft Store, no problem. If you click on download the installer, you can download it. The download link is down here. This is just to remind you that if you would like to donate some money for the open source project, you could do it. So you can click on download and you get the software. And once it's installed, you can call it from your computer, and this is how it looks like. So it's the classic Arduino IDE. And it's going to open, and well, I have it with a really tiny typeface. So, and as you see, I have it in Swedish because my computer is in Swedish. But it was translated to over 40 languages long time ago, and so you can just change it to whatever language you want to. So I will change it to Espanol, just to do something different, and I will change the typeface to be 24 pixels high, so it's going to be a lot easier for you people to read. You see, so now you can much easier read whatever code I write on it. And as I said earlier, there's a different metaphor of use. The menu here is horizontal, up there, file, edit, and so on. Well, I need to restart, but I changed the language, but as I restart the IDE, it will not change the language right away. This is one of the issues with Java. If you make certain kind of changes with Java, you need to reboot the application. This is the toolbar with different options here: compile, upload, new file, open, save, and serial port monitor here on the right-hand side, and the writing area and the console. I'm gonna make the same example here for those of you that never saw this, and I'm gonna make an example using the serial port monitor both here and on the online IDE, so you guys see the difference. I think that's one of the most remarkable differences that you can see in the software is how it works with the serial port monitor. Okay. So there's a question here. It says, how are the additional libraries handled in the web IDE? For example, if I need some Adafruit libraries, etc. Well, at this point, a lot of the libraries are there, and you just need to ask to publish them there. But as I said, the online IDE is still in beta format, so there might be some things that you won't find. But if you want to like add, I don't know, NeoPixels, LEDs and stuff, those kind of things you can always find. So if you are more in a development format, I still recommend you use the classic IDE. But if you're in a classroom where you're going to do more tested stuff with students, then I would recommend using the online IDE because it's easier, as I said, because you don't have to handle files, move them around, and so on and so forth. So let's move on to test. Well, I'm actually just forgetting that I have a presentation that somebody prepared for me to show you. So let me just go to the next slide. And well, the classic IDE is a desktop application that is made in Java, as I said earlier, and it has a bunch of icons that are used in order to execute different commands: verify, upload, new, open, save, serial monitor, and there's a message console is a message area. This IDE was designed based on processing. The old processing IDE had the exact same icons. Well, it didn't have upload, but it had export, and the same is using the same language, the same metaphor, sorry, and it's also written in Java. So let's just take a look at how this works. So here we are, and the first big difference is that when I plug my board to it, and I'm gonna plug it right away. This is when I plug my board, and when I plug my board to it, I need to actively go to the menu, and I need to actively select that I'm having an Arduino Uno and the port, which in this case is COM3. This is not automatically selected. It could, of course, be implemented, but then you also need to have other things like there's multiple types of boards and so on. Then in setup, I can do the classic pin mode 13. I declare it as an output, and I made my program, digital write 13 high, delay. I have right now my board working with a delay 1 second because it's a program I made earlier. You see it there blinking. You see? So I'm gonna make a much faster blinking command. So I will do it at 200 so that you can see the difference between them. And I turn this one off here, and I click upload. It asks me to save the file. Okay, I will say this is for the LiveCast. and this is gonna be blink save. So, oops, Arduino Uno, read link users, OneDrive documents, LiveCast, blink. The system cannot find the file specified. Let me just do this again. So this is what happens when you try something live and you didn't test it before. So I'm clearly having issues with my board. Let me just make sure I close the things I had to close. Let me just restart the IDE for a second. So as I said earlier, I'm taking risks because I didn't get a chance to try anything before I went live. So this is Arduino Uno, COM3. I will try to compile again. And it says now it can't find the file specified. Okay. Let me just try with one of the examples. I think it's because of the configuration, because, well, it's a long story where I got this computer from. I bought it in Germany, installed Swedish software. So if I tried, yeah, it has to do with my user folder. So if I try this this program that is saved in a different folder, is working fine. So it's mainly the configuration I have in my computer. So it's recommended that when you create, when you save your files and so on, that you don't use, I mean, it will work now, but you shouldn't use white spaces. You shouldn't use strange characters like the German for example, in the names and so on. So if I have everything chosen properly, and I click on upload, this will work. This is a traditional blink example. So I will just do like this and send it to upload. This compiles for the board. I will just bring the board here and you will see how now it's blinking much faster, the light. There you go. I will change it again just to prove the point. And I click on upload and it compiles. I bring the board from the screen and you see now it's blinking a lot slower. So that's a very easy example of how things work. Yeah, as Bruno is saying here, OneDrive can theoretically cause some issues, and yeah, this is the fact. This is where what happens, that I install a brand new Windows computer with OneDrive, with a security copy, with a journal, and so on and so forth. So at this point, I should have put everything on /C and work from there. But I'm not a typical Windows user, so I'm actually facing some issues brand new right now, which is okay. So as I said, I want to show one more thing, which is how does the serial port work between, which is the difference between using the online IDE for the serial port and the offline IDE for the serial port. So let's just open a classic example for communication, which is physical pixel. And physical pixel, for those of you that are not familiar with it, is an example that was made by my partner Dave Mellis. And the idea behind it is that when you open the serial port communication, you can send an H or an L to it, and that will turn the light on or off. I'm going to add an answer for the communication. So what I'm going to do is that when you get an H on the board, it's going to answer light on. And when you get an L, it's going to answer light off. Okay, so we'll just upload this to the board. And so this program does two things. First of all, it's listening to serial communication, and when it gets something, it turns on the light if it's an H, it turns it off if it's an L, and it sends a message back only when it's an H or an L. So I open the serial port monitor for you to see. So this is the operation. Here on the right-hand side is a serial port monitor. You open it. You need to make sure that the communication is at the same speed here as it is on the setup. You see the setup is configured to work at 9600. If this is the first time you see this on an Arduino board, please don't panic. We will come to this in a later livecast, so we will explain this in detail. I just want to show this for people that are more proficient in using Arduino. You see that the light right now, my board is off, and if I send a capital H to the board and I press send, I get the answer light on, and now the light is on my board. If I send whatever to the board, I'm gonna send anything, just random set of characters, and I send it, nothing changes, the light is still on. And if I send a capital L, here send a capital L, you will see now how the light is going to disappear. There it is. So the light went on and then it went off again from the serial port monitor in a very easy way. So I'm gonna take this code here and I'm gonna try it out from the online IDE. And I'm gonna do this just to show you how the serial port monitor works on the online IDE, and actually how much nicer it is to get it to work from there. So I will just copy the code. There is some extra code at the bottom of this if you want to work with processing. I just copied the code. I'm gonna open the online IDE. I closed it earlier, so I need to open it again. So there you go. There's the editor. I open the editor here, and I will have to tell the editor, well, it detected that there's an Arduino Uno connected. I just don't really care about this code, so I'm gonna paste this code new here. It's the same code that I took from the other board, and I will just select the right board on the drop-down list, and if I upload it to the board, there you go, I could then just open the serial port monitor here, and you see how it looks like. It looks a lot nicer, and I can send the H, and if I click send, I get the message light on, and you see the light is on. There you go. And if I now send capital L, and I click send, say lights off, and the light is off. And I would like it to say something else when something comes in, but it's not understandable. So it's not a capital H or a capital L. So I could just say serial.println, and I will just say nothing important. And I will just click on upload. And this is very cool because it pauses the serial port monitor, compiles, uploads, and it automatically opens it again. This is a classic issue you have when you're working with, for example, younger kids, and you tell them, oh, you have to close the monitor and you have to open again, and you have to do this and you have to do that. People always forget. So if I send an H, it tells me, well, I send an H, but I send the new line at the end of the message. I should say like no line ending. And now if I send an H, light is on. If I say garbage, nothing important, and I send an L, light is off. So as you saw here, you know, you can use a serial port monitor also inside the browser. So there is a way to send data back and forth between the browser and the Arduino board. Okay, so these were the main things that I had to present to you today. So we saw the new IDE, the online IDE called Create, that is part of the Create platform that includes Project Hub and some other of the tools that you have already seen in the Arduino community. And then we saw the classic IDE, and we put them side by side and we tried them out. And as I said, it might be the case that you have an older computer, it's better to stick to the classic IDE. It definitely is the case that if you're a developer, you might want to stick to the classic IDE so you can try things out, but once they work, they will probably also work in Create, no problem. Then, just to remind you, because this is one of the live casts that is sponsored by the eCraft to Learn project. We will continue in the next weeks talking about different kinds of components, and our intention is to be talking about sensors and actuators. Sensors are devices that measure the world, and actuators are devices that allow you to transform the world or show information in the world. So it's very important that you keep this in mind. So if you want to follow this LiveCast series, the ones that are meant for teachers that are sponsored by the eCraft to Learn project, you should just be prepared, because we're going to be testing different sensors and actuators just to train you in the use of different devices. So that said, I think I'm open for any kind of other kind of questions. We had some comments on the chat, so I'm going to open our chat. So let me see. Well, people said that they had issues with the streaming. I'm pretty sure the streaming is working. Anyway, it's going to be recorded on YouTube, so you shouldn't worry. And I think that looking at the chat, yeah, there's a couple of questions, so I'm gonna check them out. So first of all, Brumna says, I think the desktop Java should work normally. The Java applets are the end of life and will be not supported in the future. Well, Java applets are, yes, definitely end of life. Applications in Java will still work for a long while. And the thing is, like, if you have an old computer with an old operating system that you don't upgrade anymore, which is the case in many schools where computers, they last twice as long as at other places, then this is never an issue. So if you have a computer right now where Java runs and you're not going to update it, it will hopefully work for another 5 to 10 years if people don't mistreat it too much. We got a question from Mr. Hofflich from Mexico. Hola, ¿cómo estás? He said, is there a way to migrate sketches from the classic IDE to the Create IDE? Yes, you can upload sketches. There is an icon in the IDE that allows you to upload sketches. So if you go back to the sketchbook, you see here there is a link that says import. So you can import new sketches on it. So that's really not an issue. Then Brumla asks as well, whether there is anybody using Visual Studio Code and Arduino. So, I'm not using it, but as you know, you can use Visual Studio. If I'm not wrong, right now it's free of charge, and there is a plugin for it, so you can use it with Arduino. There is also platform.io, and there is also like a patch for Sublime. So the Arduino compiler itself right now is being detached from the editor, so you can do everything on command line. So you can do a lot of stuff. So if you guys are interested, there is even a Python script that allows you to automate compilation and uploads of Arduino code directly into boards. I've done tests of having 10 boards connected to a computer and reprogram all of them remotely from a different location. So there is a lot of things you can do thanks to the fact that we use some time in separating compiler from graphical interface. Let's say there's some other questions here. Well, Adafruit took the opportunity to post some news. So I guys invite you to take a look at Adafruit's blog post of today, the 12th of April. I will not open it now because I don't want this program to last too long. I get very much into reading stuff, so I would like to finish the LiveCast at some point. So if there's any other questions, oh yeah, we experienced some issues with OneDrive when using the classic Arduino IDE. So it's a recommendation to store your files in a folder that is not connected to OneDrive if you're using Windows at this point. Which is typically not the case if you have like a typical old computer lab. And there is any other questions? Yeah, that's it. So people, thank you very much. So if you happen to have other questions, I will stay in the chat for another 20 minutes or so. So you're welcome to continue to talk. As you know, the chat is open all the time. This program was sponsored by the eCraft to Learn European Research Project. You should check it out. Just Google eCraft 2 with the number 2 Learn. There is a lot of things going on there. So people from, for example, Ultimaker are also collaborating, creating content on 3D printing for education, and we in Arduino are making this LiveCast. Other people are doing other things. So if you are interested in education, you should definitely check it out. So thank you very much, and I will see you next week. And I still don't know whether next week we will be transmitting live from Barcelona on Thursday, or if we will be doing it from my lab. What will definitely happen is that on Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. CET time, so it's really early in the morning for you guys in America. I'm really sorry, but we're going to be transmitting live at the CTC event, which is the Creative Technologies in the Classroom event, where there will be about 2,000 kids showing projects live at the Museo de las Artes y las Ciencias, which is one of this beautiful building made by Calatrava in the city of Valencia. And we will be live there, seeing student projects, walking around, grading projects, having a lot of fun for about 3 hours. So it will be a really long live cast on, I insist, Wednesday morning next week. So you can hook up at any time, and we will extract the best of the best and make a summary for you at some point during the week. So thank you very much, and see you all soon on the internet. Goodbye. Have a good evening.